Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Peak Property Performance. Before I introduce our guest, I want to remind everybody to like, follow, subscribe the show, forward it to somebody you know, invite them to listen. We've gotten a lot of applications to be on the show, and I encourage you to continue to do that. That's how we're going to find more and better and interesting conversations to be on the show. So today's show theme, the property manager's perspective, when technology helps and when, God forbid, it gets in the way. So today our guest is Mary Pat Hawes. Mary Pat, say hello before I read your introduction.
Hello, Doug. Thank you so much. What?
Today on Peak Property Performance, we're joined by Mary Pat Hawes, a commercial property manager with Boxer Property. She oversees the day-to-day operations of a multi-tenant office property in Denver, Colorado. Property managers, as we all know, sit at the intersection of ownership, tenants, vendors, and building systems, giving them one of the most practical perspectives in all of commercial real estate. In this episode, we'll explore how technology is changing property management, what owners often overlook about building operations, how connected systems can improve both efficiency and tenant satisfaction, and what today's tenants expect from modern commercial buildings. So again, Mary Pat, welcome to the show. Glad to have you. We finally get to do this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bill. I'm glad to be on the show. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to work with you over the years. So the modern property manager has become a technology manager. I don't think that was intentional as much as you're often left being the last one holding the bag, standing in front of a tenant that needs something. So property management has obviously changed dramatically over the last decade. How has it changed what your job looks like on a typical day?
Absolutely. I think with industry renovation, it's a little different with my position as a property manager, but I do see vast changes within how my priorities have changed as well, especially changing different management companies. I think it really depends on who's actually managing the asset of the company and how it fits in with my day-to-day. But I do know for me, it changed drastically when we lost a very great IT specialist here at the building that kind of helped run all of our system and infrastructure. So now I've kind of left, but I've gained a lot of education, a lot of knowledge on it. Just having to be the one that's on site dealing with any issues that rarely come about, but when they do.
Well, how much of your day now depends on technology?
All of it.
All of it. Wow.
I would say all of it. With our building specifically, my day would, I feel like we kind of have a smart building per se, and everything like our HVAC, the way our conference rooms are ran, everything is all based on, connectivity.
Well, you've been with the building since it went live, right? Since it opened?
No, I've only been since 2023.
23. Okay. So what's different today versus when you started with that property relative to technology? The market has changed. That was post-pandemic, which was driving a lot of change. You've seen tenancy change, occupancy change. How has technology changed in what you intend to do with it and how you actually use it versus just what you're being told to use, right? Or what the buzzwords say. AI is everywhere. We're not talking about AI. I mean, technology as in what you actually use to do your job in taking care of tenants.
Absolutely. That one's kind of a tough one for me to think about right now, to be honest, of how it's really changed. I feel like it hasn't changed much for me, to be honest, with my day-to-day, technology-wise. We haven't, besides having to get rid of certain platforms that we'd used in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Besides getting rid of those, it hasn't changed that much.
Maybe I could ask, do you have any examples of when technology made life easier and when it actually created more work? Well, how about this? When that building engineer moved on and he's no longer there, the one that was technologically advanced, did anybody fill the spot or were you expected to fill that spot?
I was expected to fill the spot at that time. We were looking for somebody to potentially fill that spot. We never actually did. So I have worked with certain vendors, such as yourself, to really gain knowledge on how our systems do work. I'm calling more vendors, that's for sure. Not having somebody that's, tech-based at the building. So that part has been difficult, especially when I get stuck. Here I am, constantly emailing OpticWise. Hey, can you reset this for me remotely? Do you have any idea what's going on? Can you look into this for me, please? But that's been difficult.
I know from that property specifically is the things that are diagrammed and monitored work very well. The things that are rogue that somebody added without making it part of a strategic plan or part of an overarching diagram and a system that is monitored, then it's a nightmare. It's just something waiting to fail. and then you learn about it when it fails. So
Yes.
we're to all the listeners, no matter what you put in your building, document it somewhere. Make sure everybody knows about it and how to find it, who has login credentials. If it fails, who to contact. It's simple SOPs that are very tedious. Now, they're not hard to do, but they're very tedious, but it makes the building operate better because those systems are all going to fail. They just do. And that's part of the business. So I'm encouraging everybody to build the contact list like you have. But when a building systems work together, everybody wins. Right. So buildings have, we used to say a few, now we say dozens of connected systems. So from a property manager's perspective, what happens when those systems actually work together? Tell me about some wins that you've seen benefits from systems adding value to you and your tenants.
I was about to say adds value to the tenants. That's for sure when they do work, and it's makes it more seamless. And it, to be honest, makes me look like I really know what I'm doing when it comes to some of our different platforms that we use.
You mentioned building automation. Talk about other systems like access controls or the cameras or the parking controls there at the facility. What are some other things that you really enjoy the systems because they actually work and make life better? Well, it's a good thing that you have an enterprise firewall at the head end of your connectivity at that property.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is a network monitoring platform to know when all the devices and the systems are up or down. So that is being proactive. Let's talk about, you mentioned building engines earlier and some other of the work order systems. Is that going well? Like, is that improving tenants' lives? Is connectivity improving tenants' lives? HVAC, are there lighting controls there? Anything that systems that you enjoy because number one, they reduce expenses. Well, maybe that's number two. Number one, they make a tenant's life better. Number two, they reduce expenses.
Absolutely with HVAC. Definitely. It's all, I use my laptop to go in and change any type of temperature if I want to have a space occupied or unoccupied. That is all me going on to an app to a website in my computer and controlling it that way. We do have thermometers, but throughout the building, but those just are showing the actual temperature and they don't control the RTUs themselves. So it's very important that we do have that connectivity, or else I wouldn't be able to control the temperatures throughout the building, HVAC in general. Also, they're connected. So if one needs troubleshooting or we're getting alarms, any type of alerts, those come through to me via email. And I get all those alerts saying something's wrong with one of the RTUs at on the roof.
Well, I like that. So it's saving you time. You're having faster troubleshooting and a better tenant experience, right?
Yeah, the tenants love it. All they have to do is shoot me an email saying, hey, can you, bump the temperature down in the training room for us, a few notches. So it's very easy for them. And then boom, it takes me 30 seconds to do it.
I like that. The connectivity in that building is really good, but not all of the systems are connected to share data. Is that because it was just built prior to this wave of integration and data sharing? Or is that because the owners don't want to? Which one is it?
I think it's the owners don't want to. At this point, we had brought in so many different platforms. And I think it just got a little messy where beforehand, they all did work together. They all talked to each other. And now I'm having to use multiple platforms because they're no longer syncing.
We have an ongoing joke on the show about how many dashboards do you have? How many dashboards do you have to log in to see? And when somebody asks us, can you show me the dashboard? We say, well, dashboard to us means whatever you want it to be. How do you want to see your data? And a dashboard is not necessarily the best way to do it. It's great. It looks showy, but it's not part of true autonomy and making the building act on its own. Smart is one thing, seeing the data and sensing it, but autonomy means if this happens, then that, like if it was warm in that spot, then adjust it automatically instead of having to call Mary Pat. So I look forward to when that level of autonomy hits the building. It'll happen. It'll get there.
Absolutely.
So let's shift the conversation to what property managers wish owners understood about technology. I'll give you a hypothetical. If you could sit down with any building owner for 5 minutes, what would you want them to understand about technology from your property management perspective?
I want to say understand how we can build revenue off of the whole OpticWise, that 5S platform. I wish owners understood that or took the time to understand rather than seeing the invoice that we're getting.
There's a revenue to more than offset the expense is what you're saying.
Correct.
For the services. And the services include the data and the digital infrastructure management, but it's monetized in a way that makes it profitable. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. If they took the time to truly understand how it works.
Well, the irony is that the owner that built the property understood it.
Absolutely.
And then they sold it. And then the new owners look at it as an expense line item. So how would you recommend a new owner, not this one, but just a hypothetical new owner, look at data and digital and technology when they're buying a property instead of after? Like, is there a way to explain the benefit before they take ownership of the new building?
Absolutely. I think that would be so beneficial for every building owner if they're taking over an asset or building a new asset, right when you're doing all the contract work or construction per se, so that the vendor that you're going to choose to use, such as OpticWise, they know the building inside and out. I mean, OpticWise knew the building better than I did. Obviously, when I came on, I feel like, you guys still do know the building better than I do when it comes to the infrastructure of it. Wi-Fi per se, but
well, it's all the connected systems. The Wi-Fi is how you monetize that, like how you pay for the whole thing. But the connected systems, a lot of it is not Wi-Fi, but they are connected and monitored. So the intent is to make your life better because it makes the tenant's life better.
It absolutely makes the tenant's life better.
We have talked about on the show so many times how property managers are left holding the technology bag, and like just as you know what we do. Just as I'm a technician, I wouldn't want to do property management. I see so many property managers forced to do technology. And I don't mean just picking it and buying it. I mean managing it like you're having to do. That, not that you can't, but you've not been trained on it and it's outside your skill set and it's one more thing to do. So it's a common theme on the show is how do we make the property manager's life easier without making them the technical contact to TOO as well as, So would you have anything to add about experience or I wish they would kind of stuff?
Well, with OpticWise itself, I don't think I've ever waited more than 5 minutes to get a response from the support team. So that's very helpful for me since I do not yes, I know the systems, but I don't have, our engineer here anymore that can troubleshoot for me. So it's been so helpful. Again, that's another benefit of OpticWise is how responsive the entire team is. And that's not just your support team, the entire team has been so helpful. You guys are such a great company to work with.
What I heard you say, and I want to make the point one more time, and it's not self-serving, but I was going to ask you the question. I think you've already answered it, but maybe you want to add to it. What technology investment or investments have you seen deliver more operational value than the owners realize? The tenants and the property managers do, but specifically, what are owners not seeing valuable that's being delivered by technology?
How the tenants utilize or how much easier it is with OpticWise. They each have their own personal domain. They're not having to get with property management if they want to offboard or onboard a new employee. It's just easy for them to go in, and if they're having issues, a lot of the times OpticWise is already notified, right? If there's, connectivity, something slow, but it's very beneficial. The tenants love it because they are able to kind of control their own domain versus if it were Comcast.
Well, I know from firsthand experience there that most of your tenants have integrated their Active Directory or their Google domain or whatever their directory services is directly to the platform. So the tenant doesn't have to do anything. Once they give an employee an account, they're automatically engaged
right
anywhere on the property, not just in their leased space.
Exactly. Yes.
So
that was, thank you you said that better than I did.
Well, for the listeners out there, that is when Mary Pat was talking about monetizing it. That is a billable service that makes the building money and it saves the tenant money. So everybody wins, except for the vendors that used to do it. But this show is not about those vendors. So let's continue to talk about the tenant. What do tenants expect? Like the tenants specifically, have changed their expectations significantly over the past several years. You're in an office building. You probably joined when it was very dark, post-pandemic, not many tenants. Even the lease spaces didn't have people, and now they're largely coming back because of return to office. So what do tenants expect today that they didn't expect when you started?
I get a lot, but I help with leasing a lot. So I'm on a lot of the tours, and I'm the kind of point that our broker goes to. I'm the point of contact for the prospective tenants. If they have any questions regarding Wi-Fi and the connectivity throughout the building, I am seeing more and more prospective tenants asking about security. How secure is your network? And it's also important to them that they can go anywhere and throughout the entire building
Mhm.
and still be connected into their own secure domain, which is very important. Just had a global legal law firm move in, and that was a huge selling point, to be honest, with the building was OpticWise. We just had another company that it's doing a full build out in the building right now. And I know that they talked with OpticWise before even signing a lease. That was just very, very important to them. And so I'm seeing a lot more of.
What's your tenant feedback from the connectivity experience there?
I only get positive feedback. Everything works very quickly, and it's seamless pretty much for them.
Do you ever have tenants that don't comprehend that they don't have to build out their own Wi-Fi and their own network in their building and literally have to think about it or say no originally because they have a budget they want to spend already and then they realize they don't have to? Move in is cheaper and faster. Has that ever happened to you?
Yes, it has. A good example is this new company that's doing a build out. I was not involved as much as I usually am when they were talking about this build out, and they had budgeted for a rack for all this equipment. And I'm reading through the emails. I said, can you please talk with them separately with Boxer Property and their development team and asking them what kind of rack are you speaking on? What are you budgeting for a rack? I said, we use OpticWise. So I immediately put them in touch with OpticWise. This is not something that you guys are needing a budget. This is, part, we already have something that's going to have a rack for you. You're not going to have to build your own rack. That was very recent as well.
And to the listeners out there, this property has 4 closets with full racks in it. So the property rents out data center space. So it becomes another revenue line item, and the tenant loves it because it's a secure space and they don't have to give up lease space to do it. It's a lot less expensive for them and more secure than having to carve out a piece and build a closet within their own space.
Yes, and that's what
And then there's
want.
redundant DIA internet access behind an enterprise firewall.
Yes.
So for the techies out there, that's the high level. If you want to know more, just reach out to us. But I love the way you explained it in words that everybody understands, not just people like Drew who are super technically smart, right? I don't do what his team does here, so I have to explain it in normal words. Is it safe to say when the tenants don't notice technology, it's actually the sign that it's working right?
I would say so.
Yeah.
There's no issues. They're not having to worry about it, right?
Well, it just works is one of the favorite things I like to hear about technology. If it
Yeah.
just works.
It just works. That's at least I can count on our network and our infrastructure to always be working in the building. Not everything goes as planned day to day, right? With how many systems that we have in place. But one thing I can always count on is having a secured internet connection, that not failing.
I like hearing that is a draw to leasing up the building.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's one
A lot
thing.
of times the leasing agents shove it under the rug, and it being connectivity or technology or telephony or whatever else the tenant is going. Think about everything a tenant has to do in a normal TI process. And the more that a client, in our case, a client owns the property, the more a client can do that for the tenant, the easier the move-in is. And then you're selling more of an experience as a package rather than just renting space. So that is one of the core values that we promote all the time, but it is also part of peak property performance and controlling your digital infrastructure. And that is the networks and the sensors and the data.
Yes. It is
All right.
wild how many new prospective tenants on tours are bringing up our connection. And at this point, I remember back when I first started here, I feel as if there wasn't as much talk on it, or I would just go through the bullet points that I knew. And now I've grown to know and understand the building a lot better and how OpticWise runs. And so rather than just having these bullet points, it's nice to, before they even move in, how about I just connect you straight with OpticWise? They can answer any questions that you guys have. And then that's also when you are able to ask if they are needing any additional services, rather than the broker or property manager trying to talk to them about that. I think it's very beneficial to just put them right in touch with OpticWise to go over all the options that are available.
And again, the additional services save the tenant money, but also make the property money.
Yep.
Because we basically remove the old school vendors that used to hold them hostage. Yeah. I'm a supply chain guy. I like to look at it in that light. Well, Mary Pat, at this point in the show, we shift from talking about job and commercial real estate to letting the audience know you. So we call this the extra floor. I'm not going to ask a bunch of questions. It's 3 questions, but it's not conversational. It's all about Mary Pat so they can understand you.
Okay.
So it's just gut reaction answer like like you would like. What's the best piece of career or life advice you have ever received?
It's a difficult one that I've ever received.
Or your favorite? Any of that? Like,
I guess this might be a little cliche, but always that is a good piece of advice is under promise, over deliver always, regardless of what, career route you're taking. I've had a completely, I made a major shift during COVID with my career. And that is the one piece of advice that just always will fit. It always works.
well, you embody that. So it's not cliche at all when you live it. What's one habit or practice that consistently makes you more effective?
Communication with my team at the property level. That makes me more effective. I don't know about them. It might be asking too much to always be communicating with me about the even smallest things. But that helps me tremendously to just always be in communication, especially with the engineers, just to know what's going on with the building.
That's a common thread for almost all the property managers I talk to, is the good ones are great communicators.
Yeah. It's key.
So last one's super easy. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Both.
Oh, wow. Burning the candle.
I am both. I tend to be a night owl, definitely, but I also rise early. I have to. I just automatically do. If I don't, my dog wakes me up.
Well, I know you and I both love live music, and you can't do that if you're just an early bird. So I understand that.
Absolutely. That is a good
All
point.
right. Well, thank you very much for the time, for the advice, the input, the sharing the wins and losses stories. And everybody else out there, like I said at the beginning of the show, please forward this to somebody, introduce them to Mary Pat. Oh, how would you like people to reach out to you? What's the best way to reach you? We'll put this in the show notes, but how would you like people to contact you?
Probably via email.
Or can I put your LinkedIn up there too?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
message, like any type of message.
All right. I'll put them both up there. We will put them both up there, not me. And like, follow, subscribe, forward it to somebody. If you know somebody you think would be great on the show, reach out. There's an application on the website, which is peakpropertyperformance.com. Again, everybody, thank you. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.